Lincoln was talking a little bit yesterday about the physicality being a little bit more similar than maybe people would have expected between the Michigan and Notre Dame games. It was more of a gap assignment issue. I guess I wonder, what was your sort of perspective on that, and why do you think maybe some of those gap assignment issues are still happening this deep into the season?
Yeah, there's definitely snaps I felt like you watch, and we were the most physical group. Their snaps, and they were. At the end of the day, they're a high execution offense. Their backs are very, very impatient, and if you make a mistake, they're going to find it. So you have to just do your job. And I know there's times, especially when the back's being patient, you want to press and you want to try and beat him there, but just do your job, because when you don't, they find it. And there's a couple times we didn't do our jobs and the back found it.
How frustrating was that?
Very frustrating, extremely.
How do you fix it?
It just practice. You have to address it every time it happens on tape. You have to reinforce it. We have to come up with, okay, are we doing the right drills? Is there anything different we can do walkthrough wise, playing guys in different spots? You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, when we're all on the same page, we can be a good defense, but we all have to be on the same page, and we have to trust that the guy next to us is going to do his job and that we don't have to overcompensate for anything.
You went away from the three linebacker look in the first half after having a lot of success with that against Michigan. Why'd you go away from it, and just what were your thoughts on how that group performed?
We went into that game, we were going to play that package. We were going to play Kamari, some in the slot, and then just with just the way the game went with some of the pass game stuff, with some of the reps trying to keep guys fresh and healthy. We just felt like second half, that was the best group to go with.
Last bye week, you wanted to get back to the fundamentals. You mentioned tackling specifically. What have been some of the teachable moments in the game since that last bye week?
Still tackling. It's block destruction, getting off blocks, and tackling and communication. Those are three things that no matter what defense we call, no matter what scheme you're in, you have to be able to do those things at a high level. So that's something that we always just go back and really emphasize this week.
Is that something you dedicate time to during practice? You do more drills than usual?
Yes, we have extra indie time, so it's in that extra indie time, we'll do circuits, different drills. Because we're not in game planning for a team, and when we meet, we watch practice, obviously, but then you have extra time just to emphasize different things. So it might be okay, this is a tackling day, different types of tackling, showing good examples, bad, showing the drills can carry over to the tape. Next day might be block destruction, but just picking out different things so we can, say we got better at this today.
What have you seen from the inside linebacker play kind of throughout the year, and then especially in that game? And what are next steps kind of for that group?
I feel like, individually they've all gotten better. I feel like from a fit standpoint, we need to be more downhill. We need to be more physical. It needs to be on a more consistent basis. I know the guys can do it. We just need to do it more often.
Is there a sense of urgency this week to try to get Kamari back to his natural spot and have someone else emerge at nickel, or not really?
Yeah, we're trying to get as many guys reps there as we can. When we feel better about that spot, we would love to be able to move him around like we have in the past. And we moved him around some more this past game, but not quite like we have. So I think, the more reps these young guys get, because we have a lot of guys who are getting reps, but, they might be getting 10 reps a game or 15 reps a game. Weeks like this, you could really pour into them, and, they're starters this week.
How much do you feel like it is a necessity to give other guys, a chance to compete, especially with the guys who have maybe started every game? Do you foresee changes at that depth chart level? Yeah,
so any guys who earn our trust are going to get a chance to play. So it starts in practice. When we go against the offense, when we go against the scout team, just showing that we can trust that when you're out there, you're going to be able to operate in the defense. And again, your good plays might be here, but how bad are your bad plays? And the guys who we feel like we can trust earn more in playing time, and that can adjust all throughout the year. Like a guy like J-Walk, early on in the year wasn't playing much. Now he's a big part of our defense. So there's a handful of other guys that are on that fringe where, if they just can be a little bit more consistent, you'll see them out there more.
DeCarlos seems like he's been the most consistent among the quarterbacks. What has been the biggest part of his sort of breakout this season?
I know he's an older guy, but he's still so young for the position. He played quarterback. When he was at Mississippi State, he did nothing but press. So I remember when I first got here, Coach Belk used to spend time with him after practice, teaching him how to backpedal. So, he's very, very raw at the position, and you've just seen him continue to get better. And he still has a ways to go, but he's just been more consistent. He's been communicating well. He's been tackling, and we feel like if he can continue to get better and better and better, he's going to help us a lot.
What's been the mindset of the guys post-loss and then heading into the bye week? Have you been impressed with practice so far post-loss?
Yeah, it's been the past 2 days have been good. It's been super competitive against the offense, and that's obviously a big portion of it. And then we still get some scout team work where we can work on corrections from earlier in the year, different ways we think people are going to attack us, stuff we might get from future opponents. But everything this week has been super good. The guys are motivated to get back out there.
I know you don't have control over the bye week and the schedule, but do you wish that it was later in the season, or you this athlete time at this point?
I don't think about it at all.
What was responsible for the defensive line not having as much success against Notre Dame compared to Michigan?
They out executed us. Like I said, they're a high execution offense, and there's a lot of snaps where when we're doing what we're supposed to do, you see us doing good stuff. But if you're supposed to be in this gap and the backs do a very good job, they're impatient, you jump out of your gap, or we have two guys in the gap, or you're supposed to blitz here and you go there, they're going to see it.
What was that film room like the day after that defeat?
Just have to take accountability, everybody, starting with me. Here are calls I wish I could take back. All right, now here are times where you're supposed to be doing this, and you just have to address everything, and you have to do it in front of the entire group, because at the end of the day, we're not coaching individuals, we're coaching positions. So if we're making a coaching point to Dez at Mike, that same coaching point is to Tamir. If we're making a coaching point to Kamari in the slot, it's the same thing for EG if he's in the slot. Could be Matai, could be Alex Graham. All those guys have to be able to learn from everyone else's mistakes.
So one more?
Was that balance in a game like that between running what you did, and then you hear a lot when a run game is going to load the box, stack the box. How do you manage that balance against a team like that?
They were super explosive on the ground and in the air, so we knew they were going to attack us both. At the end of the day, when you can stop the run, it helps you do a lot of other things. When you're not stopping the run, it makes it harder to help guys at different positions, so that's always the priority.